Welcome to Veteran State of Mind. I'm your host, Geraint Jones, recording an intro for the third time because I am at an end of a long afternoon recording and my mouth isn't working. I could make a joke on that. I'm not going to. I was going to tell you about today's guest. He is awesome. His name is Davie Ure. He is or should I say Davie Ure, he goes by, because he is a Scottish gentleman. Served with Free Scots. Served with the Black Watch, who I have a lot of time for. I like the Black Watch. I had a lot of those guys with us in Iraq. Big fan. And we get into it. We talk about all kinds of things. We bounce around the map on this one. We talk about the state of the union in the UK. We talk about Afghanistan, fighting in Afghanistan, the withdrawal from Afghanistan. Talk a bit about podcasting. Kind of bounce around all over the place. We just finished talking. I really enjoyed it. And I don't want to wait any longer. Let's just get straight into it. Please give a very warm welcome to Mr. Davie Ure. Davie, welcome to the podcast, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, thanks very much for having me on. As we were just saying before we had to restart, I've been hosting the Lead Wasps podcast, which is on an uncertain break at the minute. Just some personal stuff and work stuff kind of colliding to make that not really be feasible to do at the minute. But looking to get back into starting off again sometime soon. But yeah, thanks very much for having me on. Been following Veteran State of Mind for a long time. Certainly ever since I've been doing my own one as well, and it's a great platform. And yeah, I love your IG, both in your personal and the podcast one itself.
Cheers, brother. And mate, yeah, I love podcasts, mate. I've been on there myself with you. We've got some good chats on there. We were hoping to do this when I was down in London, but just, mate, I was in the same position as you are now with it. It's like, as much as we both enjoy doing the podcast, it's not our full-time jobs. We're not on Joe Rogan money. On
zero money.
Yeah, and like, mate, I'm in a position with this one at the moment, and I thank everybody that does share the podcast, and please do check out Lead Wasps as well, because we don't do advertisements or anything like that. We all rely on word of mouth, and we done this one, mate. I'd be interested to know if you had the same. I'd say we had a bit of an uptick during last year with lockdowns and stuff. And then basically, mate, like I'd say the middle of this year, it wasn't so much time, but it was place. I was on the move a lot more. So I couldn't get as many episodes out. Instead, I'd try and do 5 or 6 a month. And we were down to about, some months it'd be like 3. But we're back kind of coming out of the dip now. And that's how it goes with artistic or business endeavors or anything, or fucking gym, whatever you do. As soon as you take your foot off a throttle a little bit, you got to build all that momentum back up.
That's it, and it's like it's kind of hard to get kicking back off again because it's I know that's part of it. You've got to almost restart the whole thing again. But the reason I stopped is literally just because I had so much of my life going on. My wife moved over from the States. I moved down to London. Work was really kicking off, and it's kind of long hours in the field I'm working in. In the flat that I'm in just now, there is no internet, just because the internet in London's absolutely terrible, which you would never believe in a million years, but it is. And it's just a whole host of things. Like in this flat I'm in, and now there's not even like a spare room where you could go and set this up. So it's like, every time I'm doing it, I have to set it up in the living room and then take it back down, and it just is an absolute lick. And then you've got all the editing and all the time that it takes as well. It's like 8-10 hours, like recording, setting up, breaking down, editing. So it's a lot of time and energy. And like you said earlier, it doesn't pay the bills. So you really got to prioritize what's important to you in your personal life, and obviously that is. But my family really comes first, and then obviously making the bread comes second. So, and
then the peasants, mate. Then podcast for the peasants. Yeah, mate. Because it's funny you should say that about London internet, though. Because when I was down in London, compared to Wrexham, I was like, wow, this internet's great. So that gives you an idea. One of the reasons, to be honest, the main reasons I started looking for a studio, we record this in studio. Got Peter down here in Peter's studio. Studio's great, obviously, great sound quality, but also the internet here that enables us to do these remote things, because I can't do remote ones from my house, mate, because it sucks. And it's something I guess as well, as like when people talk about, like, working from home and doing things from home and everything like that, it really just fucking, it's a really lottery of where you live, isn't it? Like, it's one thing to say people should work from their home and do all this, but if you're living in an apartment in London, you're in a very different position to live if you're living in, let's say, a nice four-bedroom house, in the suburbs somewhere.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not poor by any sense of the imagination, but I do live in an ex-council estate. Well, it's not ex; it's a council estate that's now got some private lets in it. And for whatever reason, they just haven't upgraded any of the services for what seems like, at least a decade. And no matter how much I wanted, or how much I would love to have good internet here and could pay for it, I just can't get it. Like, it just isn't available to me.
Yeah.
I looked at fucking the old Elon Musk Starlink.
Oh yeah.
But then, doing a bit of reviews and stuff, it has a tendency to jump out and like lose connection, but then rejoin really quickly. Whereas obviously with podcasts, if it loses it, when I was doing the podcast, anytime I was losing connection, it was a whole rigmarole to reset back up.
What's your thoughts on Elon Musk?
Mate, I honestly think he's a genius of the modern era. Like, if you think about everything that he's done, it's just comprehensible. Sorry, It's talking about Tesla, and then you've got SpaceX, and then you've got Starlink and Boring Company and Solar City, and it's like every one of these is like genius ideas, next level genius ideas. And he started off with obviously PayPal, and he sold that for the Wonga to then be able to do what he really wanted to do. It's just like the guy is an absolute genius, and he's got a level head as well. It seems, he doesn't seem to be away with the fairies like most of the fucking, the celebrity culture and that side of the world. Seems like he's really got his head screwed on.
And he's funny.
Yeah, and he's good. He's got like very, weird sarcasm, sort of banter. Listen to him on a Joe Rogan podcast, especially. It's like you're listening to it, and it's like this guy's actually like not bad crack.
Mate, when I listened to him on the Joe Rogan podcast, I had that same kind of feeling that you're talking about. I was like, I feel like this must have been like what it would have been like listening to Einstein if Einstein did podcasts and stuff, and like you're like, okay, yeah, we're the same species, but we're really not. Like, this guy, I probably if like you can't even comprehend what it must be to like because I think a lot of the time, mate, I know you're very like me. You're like me, and you get frustrated with people not being able to like use critical thinking and stuff. But like, imagine how Elon Musk must feel, like,
oh my God,
when he's like trying to deal with the rest of us. But no, mate, I'm a fan of his in the sense that like I like the fact that I kind of like the same way that I didn't necessarily like a lot of things about Trump, but I appreciated the comedian in him. I feel like Musk is the same, mate. He's got that kind of like, I'm like, all right, you probably do some shady shit and you've probably, caused some damage here and there. But overall, I feel like he's a force for good. And, like, look, if anyone's going to rule the world, I'd rather it be someone with a sense of humour.
And someone who's actually intelligent as well. I seen that one of the recent things I've seen about him was that he's willing to give like billions of dollars to help end world hunger, but all he requires is that the UN or whoever it was disclose the finance pathway. So I would give you $100 billion, whatever it is. All you have to do is disclose where that money goes, and we'll do that. But it seems like people who actually want to solve hunger don't want to solve hunger, because then they won't be lying in their pockets.
Mate, and that goes, I tell this to people all the time. So why would people that are working in Black Lives Matter, getting 6-figure salaries, buying houses in the Hollywood Hills, why would they want to end racism when they're making a living off it?
Yeah, exactly, man.
It's the opposite thing. Before we go too far down the putting the world to rights, which I do want to do a bit of, obviously, let's jump back into your background, mate, because I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. So give us a bit about like where you grew up, and when did you first start getting that itch to I should definitely specify what kind of itch we're talking about here. When did you start getting the itch for soldiering?
Well, I guess it's probably been there my whole life. My old man was in the army. He was in the Argylls, which for your international and probably most of your UK listeners is a Scottish regiment, infantry regiment. And back in the day, they used to travel every 2 years and move the battalion around and go to different locations every 2 years. So I kind of grew up all over. I was born when he was posted to Germany, moved all over around the UK, Northern Ireland, Scotland, England, and then settled up in Central Belt in Scotland. But the itch for soldiering has kind of probably been there like my whole life before I joined the army. And I guess it's not necessarily that I was inspired by my old man or whatever. I just seen the lifestyle that afforded him, and I just wanted probably a piece of that. It's good social life and whatnot, and getting to travel and all those sort of things that I seen. Just led me down that path. And then obviously, with the Iraq War kicking off, and 9/11 and all that sort of stuff, it was just kind of a no brainer that I was eventually going to get there. I did join a little bit earlier than I wanted to, but it actually paid off that I joined when I did. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. You can see that it was actually a good thing that I did join the army when I did.
Why was that then, that you think you joined a bit earlier, or you did think so at the time?
Well, at the time, I felt like I had to join the army. I was living with my mum. She's a single mother at the time, and I'd been working, but then lost a contract. 16 years old, nothing fucking serious or whatever, but I'd been working, lost that contract just because it came to an end, and then couldn't get any work because I was obviously a 16-year-old kid, no experience, living off my single parent mum. And she eventually said to me, she's like, "Look, I need you to get a job because I can't sustain, paying for two people. You're going to have to start helping." And at that point, it was kind of right serious, right? Okay, I actually do need to do something with my life. Whereas at the time, I had planned to join, maybe I was like 20, 21-ish, have a little bit of fun when I was a bit younger, and then join when I was a bit more mature. But in hindsight, mate, looking back, it was an absolute godsend that I joined when I joined. I joined at an amazing time for my battalion's, sort of time frame, and then just in general, the British Army was involved in a lot at that time as well. So it was the best thing that happened to me joining when I did, even though I necessarily didn't want to join at that time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, man. So give us the kind of the top kind of notes of where you went to, and who you went there with.
So I joined the Army 2008 and deployed in the start of the summer 2009 with the Black Watch, or Three Scots as they're now known. We deployed to Kandahar, but they were operating out of Kandahar airfield doing sort of like strike ops, but more, if you imagine SF strike ops but with battalion scale. That sort of role. It was Regional Command South. We'd taken over from the Powers, I believe. It was either the Powers or the Marines, I can't really remember. And it was either one of those that were there before, so it hadn't been around long. And I think we were the third battalion to roll through it. But the job the battalion had and the job that we had was amazing there. And that was during the summer, really, really crazy. And then when I come back from there, joined the recce in between the two tours, went back to Helmand again, Afghanistan, Helmand this time in a more ground holding role with the same battalion. And that was with the recce, so we were doing a little bit, of a better job than the rest of the battalion. But again, nothing ridiculously special. Just we had the reins let loose on us a little bit more than the rest of the rifle companies did. And then after that, it was just the kind of regular sort of British Army operational cycle. So deployments to Cyprus and overseas training exercise to Kenya. The regular promotional courses, so juniors and seniors, and a few other bits and bobs thrown in between. So very, very excitable time. And I kind of, by the time I left after 10 years, I'd kind of done all the things that you would want to do while you're in the army, and the rest of it's kind of maybe a more leadership goal stuff that you'd want to achieve. But in terms of doing things like actually, going on the courses and having the job roles, then yeah, I feel like I kind of tick most of the boxes there, other than the leadership roles.
And when did you get out?
I got out in 2018. just at the end of the year. So all in all, it was just over 10 years that I served.
Yeah, you packed a lot into it, mate. Let's talk about your tours then. When you went out for the first tour, obviously, Blackwatch, pretty experienced battalion by that point, been on a few rack tours. We had Blackwatch lads with us filling out I don't want to say filling numbers up because they were great lads. But in our wagon, which was the disposables wagon, we had TA driver, TA dismount commander, Blackwatch dismounts, and then a battalion going in the front. We're like, well, hang on a minute, how come they put all of us at the front? But no, it was great lads, man. And like a really experienced battalion with an important heritage. Like, did you know much about the Blackwatch before you went into it?
Absolutely not, mate, honestly. So it's kind of weird the way you get recruited into the army. Everyone knows how you get recruited. You go to a recruiting office and the guy tells you, right, you want to be a soldier, you're going here. And then the guy's just, whoever you are, you just say, yeah, okay, cool. Because obviously that guy's got my best interests at heart. So I told him, I actually knew I wanted to go to an infantry unit. And I think initially I'd wanted to join the Powers. And I think he convinced me to come round and join the Scots. And he was like, "Oh, your old man's in the Scots. You'll be a flyer, sort of thing." So I was like, "All right, okay." Ended up in training, transferring from the Argylls that my old man had been in to the Blackwatch after another, conversation with a convincing corporal who told me that, if you go to this unit, your career is going to fly. So anyway, I joined them. I joined the Blackwatch after a few screws at depot had said that it's going to be the most beneficial thing for you. And then I left basic training and deployed straight away out to Afghanistan. But I wouldn't say manipulated, but like you definitely do get your ear bent by influential figures that are around you, pivotal points in your career, and that was definitely one of those times. But the very, very first weekend when I got to battalion, obviously, as soon as I knew I was going there, I was getting non-stop grilling by these screws. We had 3 of them in my training team, so they were constantly on my back. Right, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this, because you're going to Afghan fucking straight away. I was like, right, happy days. So I finished training and I got a week's leave before joining the battalion. In that week's leave, one of the sergeants who was working with the omelette had been killed. He'd been shot and killed. And so I rocked up on, I think it might have been, a Monday or Tuesday or something like that. And by the Saturday, I was at I was part of his military funeral in Belfast, burying the guy. So it's like, it was a huge, huge, like, change of lifestyle, change of, pace, and we're not training anymore. This is real. It's basic training is over, big kids. So you're into the real stuff now. So it was pretty crazy, and that sort of thing stuck with me. That's a moment in my life that's really stuck with me. My whole life ever since that point. Just an incredible sort of change of pace in life, and a harsh realization that you're actually into the real thing now. So.
And that's the weird thing about the military, isn't it? You don't see military funerals unless you happen to, like, because you don't see them from your own unit because you're on the ground. You only see them if you happen to be rear party or that kind of thing. So, because a lot of people that have been in the military and lost friends have never actually been to a military funeral. But what was it like? What was kind of going through your head as you watched that?
The one thing that sticks with me is that so the coffin was up the front of the church, and it was draped in the British flag, and all the guys, all the burial party and the firing party were sat at the back in their number ones. I didn't know a single person, mate. I literally didn't know any one of them. But then when his old man got up and read it, so I wasn't friends with anyone. I didn't literally, you're the brand new private soldier, so no one even talks to you. But as soon as his dad got up and started his speech, it was just an overwhelming sense of pride that, even though I didn't know anyone, you get the sense that you're part of something, that you're like part of this brotherhood that, you always heard about. And it kind of, without sounding too cheesy, it kind of like brought us together for a little period because we're all mourning at that one period of time. even though I didn't know anyone, we're all, it was really rough, mate, hearing his dad talk. Literally stood behind his son's coffin. I was thinking at that time, I was like, this potentially could be my mum having to do this in a few weeks, a few months. So it was something that I was really conscious of at that point of time. Up until then, I hadn't even given it a thought. I just thought I was going to Afghan, I was going to war, it would be fucking so much fun. But that moment of time, mate, it was like really something that really made you conscious of the fact that this could be you in a couple of weeks. So that really stuck with me. And then the actual funeral itself was just amazing to see the amount of respect that the military pays its soldiers, and I guess in their last moments on, in the sun sort of thing. So it was. I know the military gets a lot of stick for not looking after its soldiers or whatever, but a military funeral is a really good mark of respect to send someone off with, and I really did appreciate that, being part of it as well. And I hope we've done a good job for him laying it to rest.
Yeah, mate, funerals is one of the things you do really well. It's like, unfortunately, we got to do more work to stop it getting to that point. But the actual funerals themselves, I've been to some, and you can't fault them, mate, to be honest. When you look at, it's because I'm asking this now because I was just thinking about this literally as I come into the podcast. When you look at a flag after that day, obviously you mentioned the flag draped coffin. How do you feel now, 10 years later when you see the British flag?
Like I said, mate, honestly, I really do get an overwhelming sense of pride. And it of course, it's literally just a piece of fabric with some colour dyed into it, but it's more than just the actual item itself as well. It symbolises a whole nation. We are all in it together. And you think back to World War II or even World War One, it's like all these people from all over the world and all over the country come together for a common purpose. And obviously today life's massively different. But I think if something drastic was to happen, then it would be like that again. You've seen some of it. You've seen some of that with COVID, especially at the start. Everyone doing their part when we thought it was like world-ending disease. Everyone was really pulling together, and you get that sense of national pride again. But that's just my take on it. I really do get a sense of national pride. But even other flags, like even things like the Olympics and stuff, when you see people stood there singing their national anthem with a flag behind them, like I feel a sense of pride for them, even though I'm not part of their country.
Yeah.
I remember, mate, that you'll like this one. Me and my mate came back from Ibiza a few years ago at the last Olympics, and there was this girl. Yeah, there was this, and we were on a massive come down for like 4 or 5 days.
Never had one, have we?
Yeah, I mean, not from drugs, obviously, because I was in the army, but we'd had a mad 4 or 5 days in Ibiza, and so like this was like day 2 or 3. Hadn't been out of bed for like that whole time. We were watching Olympics, and like this female swimmer from America had just won gold, but she was the first black girl to ever win a medal for United States swim team. And like even then, that sense of pride I got, like for her, like breaking boundaries or whatever, it's like I kind of welled up the tears in my eyes because she was so proud, like with her flag and all that sort of stuff. I text my mate, I says, mate, yeah, feeling a little bit rough here, just been watching the swimming. He texts me back, he's like, yeah, ... I says, yeah, I felt a little bit emotional, mate, not gonna lie. He texts me back saying, oh yeah, I was the exact same, bawling my eyes out. He's on this massive come down as well. So yeah, I mean, it's like you get that sense of pride, man. Flags mean more to me than they do to, I think, regular Joe public.
I want to come back onto nationalism and stuff later, mate, because obviously, I'm going to have you as spokesman for all jocks while you're on the podcast. Or we might get cancelled because I just called you a jock, which is probably racist. Do you think, like, where's this? Has this always been in you that you were always happy for seeing other people's achievement and other people's pride? Or is this something that's grown in you in the latter stages of your life?
I've never really thought about that, to be honest, but definitely in the latter stages of my life, I've came to appreciate other people's contribution way more than I did when I was younger. But I guess I've never been sour for other people's achievements. Maybe I haven't celebrated them as much as I would do now, but definitely never had like a sour feeling towards other people being successful and other people achieving things. And it does it does get me going when I do see great things, people doing great things. So yeah, I guess, but maturing as you do get older, I think has been something that's allowed me to respect that a little bit more, even.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying, like, I was watching the rugby the other day, and like, I mean, obviously, like, I'm a Welsh bloke. Everyone has the dream of playing for Wales, whatever, but it's never going to be a reality for me. But when I see those lads on there singing the national anthem, mate, I'm dead happy for them. Like, that they're having that moment. I think it's fucking buzzing. I think maybe a part of that is because you and me got our moment in the sun in Afghanistan, that was the pinnacle for what we wanted. And we got to have that. And I'm seeing them have the pinnacle of what they've worked towards. And like, I'm very much a believer, mate, that there's enough to go around. Like, for you to be successful and happy doesn't mean other people have to be miserable. You know, that I think everyone can be successful in their ways.
Well, exactly. I mean, unless you're in direct competition with someone and you're at the exact same level as them, someone being successful has no influence on what you're trying to do. Like, if someone is won gold at swimming in the Olympics, and I was better at that because I feel like they're, stunting my chance of success, then that's the most stupid thing, to think possible, because they have no influence on what I'm trying to do in my life whatsoever. So it's like you just said, there's enough to go around. We could all, we can all win from it, sort of thing. Yeah. And I definitely have that mentality. Like I said, I'm not bitter at anyone being successful. And if someone is successful in my own lane, like I big them up. I love seeing guys where I'm working now land amazing contracts. I love seeing guys land their dream job. I love seeing guys getting good perks out of their job. Like I do not get better about it in the slightest bit. It actually really pumps me up.
Mate, I'm the same. The only exception I have is politicians. They can all fuck off. I don't want to see them be. I don't want them being successful. Leave me alone. So let's talk about like bit of nationalism and stuff then, mate. Because obviously, well, let me just ask you this, I suppose. How long do you reckon Scotland's going to be part of the UK for?
Oh man, here we go. The $1 million question. I mean, I think it's inevitable that it's eventually going to happen, but I think it's just I don't understand why. I mean, it's such a tricky subject. It's like if only you could get in the minds of other people and think and get to understand what they're thinking. And even when they present their arguments, you never really genuinely get a full understanding of what their beliefs or their thoughts really are. But for me, it's like it's the better two worlds now. It's like, do you go independent or do you stick with it being part of the UK and out of the EU? So it's like, if you go independent, then you're going to be in the EU. If you go and stick with the UK, then you're not getting independence, but you're out of the EU. So it's like people maybe voted in the past to get out of the EU, or whatever. I don't know. It's like such a crazy thing. I very much support Britain. I want Britain to be as one. But I fucking despise the EU at the same time. So
I mean, so you were in a Scottish regiment in the British Army. So it's fair to say I was in a Welsh regiment in the British Army. I think you can have your national pride, you can have your regimental pride and everything, but still see the benefits of being a part of something bigger. I'm very much like a unionist. Well, fucking hell, mate. I'm from Wales. We're fucked if we go alone. We're absolutely fucked. We're fucked financially. And the other thing as well is, mate, the devolved parliament. Like, look, every parliament in the UK, in my beliefs, has been too draconian, too socialist during this last few days. That's my opinion. But what we can say for 100% is the Scottish and the Welsh parliaments have both gone steps further on the fucking, let's just call it what it is, Nazi scale. And when it comes to lockdowns, vaccine passports, everything like that. And I don't want to live under that, mate. So for me at the moment, never thought I'd be in the position. I see England as almost a check on the, like, a check on the power of these, people like Sturgeon and Drakeford.
Yeah, definitely. Like some of the things that, like, I'm living in England now, and I'm not a huge fan of any of the parties or necessarily 90% of the politicians, but I feel like they're doing a not too bad job compared to what I'm hearing from Scotland. Like, I think it's now illegal. Someone could fucking fact check me on this, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I believe I'm right. I think it might be illegal now to tell a child over the age of 4 what sex they are in Scotland. So you can't call a boy or a girl in Scotland anymore if they're over the age of 4 at school. The teachers, it's fucking this. The world has just gone to shit. I heard that and I read that some article on it, and I was just like, I just couldn't get my head around it. It's like, where does this make any sense to anyone, and who does it benefit?
Well, it benefits people that want us divided and benefits people that want absolute control over the rest of us. One of the things that I know Scotland has a bit of a reputation for is free speech laws, or rather not free speech laws, but, there's been fined people fucking giving criminal records for making jokes on YouTube, on social media. Scotland seems to be one of the worst places for that. Where does it come from, mate? This kind of like attitude. I mean, look, when the rugby's on, I fucking hate England. Hate them. But I don't hate England, really. Not really. You'd have to be an idiot to look and go, oh, they're any different to me. I mean, they are. They're not as good as me. But but there are people clearly in Wales, clearly in Scotland, who do think that it's this evil, like the evil English and stuff. Like, where does this Scottish, because there's nationalism, right? And then there's just this, I guess it's this almost delusional nationalism where you think you can make it on your own, as if Scotland and Wales aren't massively propped up by, money from England.
I think it might be like a sense of people. Well, especially a lot of it comes from the States. So like whatever happens in the States eventually comes here, and it plays out here as well. So I think things that happens in the States, people see it now online easier and quicker than they used to. So then it transfers into the UK quicker and easier than it used to. Like, for instance, BLM and the George Floyd riots and all that sort of shit. Like, as far as I'm aware, it's never been legal to own slaves in the UK. Like, the UK isn't a racist country in the slightest bit. Is there racist people that live here? Of course, but it's not a racist country. And I would argue the States isn't a racist country either, but that transfers so quickly just because it's so easy to have information passed these days. So I think that's how it gets into our society and individuals' mindsets. And basically, and then from that sort of like, that transfer of seeing things from elsewhere, their minds get sort of altered, and their judgment isn't as clear as they might have been had they not had that influence. And then they start to pick what they believe is the best choice for them to succeed. So it might be supporting woke culture so that you then look very virtuous in society. So then the more woke you are, the more virtuous you are. And so then the better person you are, and you go harder and harder and harder, and then it just becomes extreme left. And then you've got all this craziness in society. I mean, I'm not a scientist, and I have no actual proof that that's what's happening, but that's the way I can see it happening. And that's the way I can see that people generally now do things that don't make any sense, but then get applause and success from it.
Look at the stuff we did as squaddies that were ridiculous. Like, literally, people would go jumping out windows and stuff. That didn't make any sense. Why did you do it? Because you'd get applause, you'd get a laugh. Like, and so just it doesn't have to be like that obvious of a stupid thing. Some people will say things that's stupid to get applause, and just not even think about it or anything like that. I mean, I'm sure you're the same as me, mate. I catch myself on my phone sometimes scrolling, and I'm doing it for the dopamine hit, and I don't even realise I'm doing it. And we can do that with our speech and stuff as well. I heard a really cool, or not cool, interesting little bit the other day about these two Welsh lads who've got a channel called Voice for Wales on YouTube. And they'd done a piece from like the Welsh Cultural Centre or something like that. And they were asking the questions like, why is there stuff here about George Floyd? Like, what has this got to do with Wales Cultural Centre? Where's Geraint Jones's piece in there? I want to know. But like, you know, they were. I mean, that's a fucking good question. Why is George Floyd's stuff in the fucking Welsh Cultural Centre? And anyway, the fucking Welsh government went after them, and they got YouTube to pull the channel down and everything. You know, and that kind of stuff to me, mate, just says everything. It's like, it's one thing for someone else to have a narrative. That's fine. Like, if you want to believe that men can fucking have periods, if you want to believe that, then I don't care. Like, that's fine. Because I should then be able to say, well, I don't think they can, and this is why I don't think they can. And everyone else that's listening can go, right, I've heard his points, I've heard his points, I've heard this doctor's points, I've heard this doctor's points. Now I'm going to make my opinion. The issue I have is just right, here's the narrative. I don't agree with that. Well, you can shut the fuck up. Because, I mean, like, we're laughing,
yeah,
but you don't have to, like, it's the old parents thing of, well, why are we doing this? Because I said so. Well, how does that work? It doesn't work with kids. Definitely doesn't work with fucking adults.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if you put it in the box and just forget about it, it doesn't exist. But it's still just in the box there, you know, surviving. The whole thing, like, and this is just more in society and culture now, really does perplex me as to how it's got to be this crazy. Like, I really can't. Every day I go on social media and just have a quick check in, and there's something that makes me think, how the fuck or what the fuck is going on with this?
Well, I tell you what, mate, because I mean, I'm sure people are probably saying the same thing about what we've been up to, because we have had very, like, for you and me, it's very weird because we think of normal life as being going to the other side of the planet with a gun, which I'm sure a lot of people were saying, what these, like, so in a lot of people's eyes, we are the lunatics, which is probably, to be fair, quite accurate. But, you know, I'll be the first one to admit it. I'm guessing that was a fucking long detour there, so I apologise for listeners for taking us on a round detour. But at the end of the day, I wanted to talk about this stuff, and it's my podcast. No, I'm joking. Exactly. The podcast belongs to everyone. This is a collective that the peasants own. So when you got to your battalion, mate, obviously you had that bit of a kind of like a, you know, don't want to call it a rude awakening, but you know what I mean, a bit of a kind of like an eye opener. What was the attitude of your NCOs like towards you and your fellow private soldiers and that? Were you kind of welcomed in? Did you have a bit of a rough start? How'd that go?
Well, I'll skip the rear party. Generally, were just full of cunts and bullies and just the worst of the battalion. And you know, if guys who are listening were there at that time, then that's generally how it felt for new guys arriving. You didn't feel welcomed, and I don't think you should feel welcomed when you go to your new battalion. But when you're going on, when you're rocking up at your battalion, then you're going out on tour immediately. You should at least be helped and at least be fucking given the best chance for success possible. But it was a pretty shitty like environment and rear party. But that's not a reflection on the battalion at all. Like, when I got to the actual battalion in Kandahar, I mean, it couldn't have been better. Like I got put into what I think, obviously I'm very biased because it was my platoon and my company, but I got put into the best company and the best platoon and in the best section with the best section commander. And the guys in my section were all very fucking awesome dudes. And within my platoon especially, all the new guys were constantly molded by the section commanders, 2 ICs and other guys that were there, more experienced than us. We were constantly getting training on how to read satellite maps, satellite imagery, you know, how to navigate using the spots of compounds and compound numbers, using valens, how to change ECM batteries, all this stuff. And like just UGLs, you don't even see a UGL until you get to country. Or I hadn't seen like the body armor or the Mark 6 Alpha helmet or whatever it was at the time. We were using Mark 6, I think it was. Like I hadn't seen any of that stuff until I got there. And then it was like a crash course of, right, this is how you do this. And it was never a case of, right, getting shouted at or screamed at like guys might think it would have been. It was literally, right, we all sit down as a little section and talk through this stuff, work through this, go through our SOPs, go through best practice here and here and here. And it was honestly amazing, mate. Like the guys in my platoon were amazing. You got guys from all over the world there. It was amazing.
It's our Fijians, isn't it? 3 Scots.
Yeah, I mean, every Scottish regiment's half Fijians. I think the Welsh are the same, are they not?
We had quite a few, but it wasn't the same as like the Scottish regiments. But I mean, I don't know what it's like now, to be honest. But I mean, I love the Fijian lads anyway, so I'm not complaining. When you got out there then, had they already been on the ground and stuff, or did you catch them just at the beginning of the tour?
Yeah, they'd been on the ground, and I think they had been. I think they had been in country about 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, and the day before I actually landed, they had been on a massive op into Sangin, and it was, from the guys that were telling the story, 15 minutes before wheels down in Sangin, they were taking RPGs and small arms the whole time before they landed for about 15 minutes. Then they landed, and for 24 hours it was constantly non-stop. So much so that the whole company had to extract back to Cath because it was just, they were just under so much pressure, I guess, and they had to rejig and re-enter that area at a later date with better assets and bigger numbers, I guess. One of the platoon sergeants got shot in the arm, and I think they were very lucky not to get more casualties there. But the guy said it was literally 24 hours of just one big firefight, which was a bit of an eye-opener again for me. Before I'd even deployed on the ground, that's the first thing I'm hearing from the guys. So before that, though, I think they hadn't had anything, and they'd been doing a lot of stuff out in the desert, and the weather was just changing, so it was still hot, and then there was a lot of rain, and getting stuck in the mud and all this sort of shit. But when I got there, all the rain and the shit weather had stopped off, and the fighting had really started to kick in. So I kind of got there at the better time. I didn't have all the initial bullshit of RSOI with the full battalion and whatnot.
How was your first kind of experience on the ground?
My first experience was actually, pretty nerve-wracking. It was an operation called Operation Panchai Palang, which is a huge multinational operation.
That was your first op?
Yeah.
What an op.
Yeah, so my company actually had the task of setting up on the Neb Canal, setting a new fob, so which ended up becoming Fob Wahid for some of the listeners. And so we landed about 200-300 meters down the wadi from the fob itself, or conflict of interest, and then mate, it's insane. So like I'm saying, at basic training, you're getting told how to go on helicopters, and you're like going 6 people in a Puma, and you're flying around for 10 minutes, and then you get landing down in a nice clean field. When I got on this Chinook, mate, there was 40 guys with about 2 weeks worth of kit in their backpacks and their Bergens and day sacks and that, and we were sat in rows of I think rows of whatever 15 or 12 or whatever it was, 1, 2, 3 on the floor on our arse with our legs spread, and the next guy would sit in, like, essentially in your lap. We got the 2 minutes warning by the Lodi, so we all start to try and stand up, but obviously the kit's so heavy it's fucking a nightmare to get up. So by the time we actually go to land, there's about 10 guys that are stood up. And as they land, it's like quite a hard landing at night, and so they all fall back down again. And so it was just an absolute fucking Benny Hill scenario of getting off this helicopter. And I'm thinking, fucking hell, we've just crashed. But obviously it was just the way it was. And then we get out, and I'm literally thinking every step I take it, I'm going to blow up. For about 3-4 hours, I was thinking, right, this one here, this is going to get me. This is going to be the one. Every step for about 4 hours, I thought, I'm going to fucking blow up. I'm going to hit an ID. And then after I realised, right, I'm actually in safe hands. Like, these guys know what they're doing. Like, there's not as many IDs as I might have thought. We entered the compound and then kind of got set up there. And it wasn't a short period of time before we got tickled. And then it was that early morning, all the way till early afternoon, gunfight, pause for lunch, mid-afternoon to sundown, gunfight every day for like fucking 19 days. We moved all over. We done massive operations with other units, including your friend, the British Rogue. He was there as well, and a couple of guys from his unit, actually, I think, or the unit he was with, I think, were killed not far from us. We were in a platoon house, and we could see them coming up, and it was, I think it was, I can't remember. Is it Light Cav? Light Dragoons, maybe. Light Dragoons of Seal.
Joe's, Dragoons.
Yeah, I think it was the Light.
No, it was the guards. It was the Welsh guard CO that got killed while he was with them. And you saw that, did you?
I mean, we never seen it, but we could we could see their vehicles like in the distance, and we could obviously hear and see all the gunfire and stuff like that. But I didn't see any individuals doing anything, or I didn't see any actual activity. We could just generally see where they were. They were just off an artery of the Ned Canal coming up to meet us. So I think we were going to do a rip or something like that. I can't really remember. And I generally, at the time, private soldier, you don't get told anything either. You just get told to get on the roof, sort of thing. So pretty crazy time. And it was honestly, mate, it was just absolutely insane. At one point, we had a full. It would be an equivalent to a platoon attack of Taliban onto our A company checkpoint, and for about 5 or 6 hours, it was just HMG. Guys firing 66s. It was just insane, mate. We had GMLRSs, literally every single asset you could think of, just pounding these guys, and then it rolled into from day till night, and then obviously see all the tracers and stuff like that. And as a fucking 18-year-old, mate, we were stood on the wall of a compound, and we were too far away that we couldn't engage, but we could see it all. And obviously our guns were going, our heavy guns were going, and our mortars and artillery was coming over our head and stuff like that. But we were just stood on the compound wall, just watching it all. And I just thought to myself, like, what the fuck have I got myself in for? Like, this is my first op. I'm thinking it's always going to be like this.
Right, yeah, of course.
And obviously that wasn't the case. It was a huge, huge op. But we did get tastier times than that, with much smaller resources and much smaller numbers, either on a company op or even just in a platoon AO or whatever it may have been. But crazy first op and a crazy time to join a battalion, that was for sure.
You remember your first time seeing the enemy?
I was so surprised initially, like really, really surprised at the contacts. It was a case of like 3 or 4 days in, I still hadn't seen anything. I'm like, what the fuck are all these guys firing at? Like, where's where's fucking Terry Taliban? And then like one day, they got pretty close, and you could make out people, but they're not in uniform or anything like that. They just ended up becoming people that you're engaging, and you can obviously see their weapons and stuff. So it's like fucking hell. In fact, I completely just forgot the very first morning. So I'd been on the ground about 4 hours, got put on a roof, and one of the screws is like, right, if anything comes down this road, you fucking light it up, because there's no one friendly in the AO. I'm like, right, okay, yeah. So jump on the roof like it's nothing, like that. Just light them up like it's nothing.
Yeah, sound.
We had 429 Alpha as well, so we were pretty much like weapons hot the whole time. So I jump on the roof, and it's like I could see a motorbike about a K away coming towards us down this road. So I get into PRR to Science Command. I'm like, yeah, I can see a motorbike coming towards us. It's come out of this compound, and that compound had actually been like a air quotes Taliban HQ. Whether it was or whether it wasn't, no one will ever know. But that's what I was told. So I see this motorbike coming out there. It's about a K away. Get into PRR. Tell him, right, there's a motorbike coming towards us. What do you want me to do? He's like, well, if it gets any closer, fire a warning shot. All right, so it's now about 800 meters. So I'm on there. I'm like, right, I've got the LMG. Do you want someone to come up here and fire an accurate warning shot? And then by the time it eventually fires, about 400 meters away, and he's wanting me to fire a warning shot with an LMG. I'm like, fucking hell. So I fire a burst, doesn't do anything. I'm like, back on the radio, yeah, he's still coming. I fired in front of him, he's still coming, sort of thing. So we'll fucking light him up then. And I didn't, but because I was genuinely too scared to do it. And that's like something I don't know if I've told people, but I just shot off to the side of him, and he kind of like skidded to a halt. He fell off his bike at the end, and then picked up his bike and turned around. So I was like, it could have been one of those ones where I just killed someone for no reason, or I could have literally killed one of the enemy. So, but he's like, oh, yeah, you can shoot him if you want. But at that time I didn't. But then you get a little bit further on, it gets a little bit more hectic. It's fucking nuts. But that was like that whole op was just absolute nightmare for a private soldier trying to like get your head around things like that.
Thrown in the deep end, mate. But also, like, in a way, it's kind of a bit harsh on you as well, because it's like when you come in and you get that as your first taste, you know, you're chasing the dragon after that, aren't you? Really?
Yes and no, mate. I mean, you call it, you know, I always tell people you need to be careful what you wish for now that I'm older. But at the time, all I wanted was that. And you know, to be honest, I never had a lack of it. On my deployments, I was actually kept pretty busy with things. So I kind of got lucky. But if you ask my mum, obviously she would have said I got unlucky. So it depends on your perspective and how you look at things. But yeah, looking back now, you know, both deployments were, you know, fantastic for me to have amazing stories and, you know, be able to, you know, share with friends and family and podcasts and whatnot now. But at the time, it was the best thing in the world. Now I'm a bit older and I realise the value of life. It probably is a bit crazy to be wanting all that sort of stuff, but it's just what it was.
You might not know that value of life, mate, unless you went through it, though.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, you're probably right.
Kind of part of it, isn't it? Because it's like, you know, that story about the guy on the motorbike. You know, God, I was just thinking, I'm glad I wasn't in that position, because, you know, there's part of you that does want to drop people, but then do you really want to drop? It could be there's civvies around. Do you really want to drop people on a bike? And like, look, I'm not saying there's a right and wrong answer on it, but personally, I think I probably would have done the same. You know, because especially if it's the first time that you've squeezed one off at someone, you know, it's you don't want that hanging over you. It's a tough one, and these are the things, you know, young lads listening, you know, it's not simple. There's nothing simple about it.
I tell you what it was as well. Like, think back now, I seem to remember it was like the fear of getting in trouble more than the fear of killing someone that I shouldn't have killed.
Yes.
That's genuinely what it was. It's like, I don't want to shoot this guy because I might have, if I shoot him and he's not, and I get in trouble, then it'll be worse than actually killing someone that I shouldn't have killed. And that's an 18-year-old sort of perspective. But yeah, I'm glad that it went the way it did.
Guys, please lend me your ears for a moment. Remember, no sponsors, no podcast. Right, today, something a little different. I brought in with me some of the protein peanut butter cups. I'm not going to lie, don't really like sharing my food, but I did with Peter, our producer, because he does an awesome job here. Peter, verdict on the peanut butter cups from Combat Fuel, please.
Oh,
there you go. That says everything. He is touching himself as we record, because they were so delicious. I gotta say, Combat Fuel knocking it out of the park at the moment. Peanut butter cups are delicious. The white chocolate, I don't know if they've even got any more in stock, to be honest, because I might buy them out. The white chocolate whey. I don't usually use whey, but I made an exception for white chocolate. Mix that up with a few hundred millimeters. Take a scoop of that. Mix a few hundred millimeters with a nice bit of milk. Liquid gold. I'm telling you, absolutely gorgeous. And also, you've heard me talking about it with Joe, the clear whey. The flavors on that are just bonkers. It tastes fantastic. I don't know how they do it. Witchcraft, I tell you. Check them out at Combat Fuel, code VSOM. Get you some money off. Let them know that we sent you. Everyone is a winner. Please support them. They're a great company. Really cool guys. And make sure you check out the gym. Everything's linked up in the show notes. Also want to say a massive thanks to Zulu Alpha Straps. We had Daz on the podcast recently. Good to have him on there. We're going to have him on for a full episode soon. A good chin wag amongst Welshmen. And yeah, guys, as I always say with a watch strap, it's really quite hard for me to sell a watch strap with my words. I'm not going to lie. Just go and look at the pictures and let the pictures do the talking. They say that they sell a picture. A picture says 1,000 words. Well, there you go. I'll save you 1,000 words of me trying to save them. Just go and look at the fucking pictures, innit? They look fantastic. They come in all different kinds of colours and designs. There's only like so many ways you can do a watch strap. So basically it comes down to how good they look. But the clasps on them are fantastic. And what I think is probably the most functional part of them is they are very, very durable, which obviously if you're working as some kind of frontline operator around the world, or if you're not, even if you're not an operator, even if you're a bit of a renf, you will still look a lot better with a Zulu Alpha strap on your wrist. So check them out at Zulu Alpha Straps, ZuluAlphaStraps.com. Everything's linked up in the show notes. All right, guys, let's get back into the podcast. Mate, I was on Card Alpha in Iraq and never fired my weapon because I was genuinely terrified that I'd go to prison. Genuinely terrified. I probably would have just tried to disarm someone with my hands, even if I'd have fucking... I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of the other lads did. And I'm sure if I'd have seen someone very clearly shooting at me, that would have been different. But as it was, I was just like, oh, wait. But it's like Afghanistan and that, you just like, fuck it,
yeah,
whatever. But no, mate, I mean, that's the problem is this like, you know, they do kind of drill it into you. And obviously coming off the back of the Northern Ireland era and like people in Iraq getting investigated and stuff, like, you know, yeah, there's that fucking saying, better be, tried by 12 than carried by 6. I totally agree. But at the same time, if you don't feel like your life is masked, because most of the time when you get shot at, you don't feel like your life is like that in danger. You know, I mean, a lot of the time, you know, it's very rarely in a contact that you actually feel like, oh, I'm in real shit here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know when you're in real shit. Yeah, your body has a way of being able to tell you that you're really in the shit. I think it floods you with adrenaline or dopamine or whatever the fucking chemical is. But yeah, you know when you're in the shit.
I do really miss those evenings, though, mate, like just sitting on a compound or in Iraq, used to sit up on the ISO containers and just watch a contact going on in distance. Some fucking good TV, that is.
Oh my god, yeah, and like even watching back some of the videos and stuff that I still have, it's like you watch it and you think, how the fuck was I even part of that?
It's pretty weird, isn't it? It's weird, isn't it, mate? The whole thing, really. Like, do you ever think now that, you know, obviously the way that both of them, but, you know, Afghanistan recently, you know, everything that went on with the withdrawal or whatever you want to call it, let's just call it what it is, arming the Taliban and leaving. Like, do you ever think like, fucking hell, that was a bit mental that basically I just took a gun, went to the other side of the world, had to scrap in someone's house for 6 months and then came home. Like, do you reflect on the service much?
Honestly, no. I mean, I've never really thought about, like you said there, about jumping into someone's house and, you know, traveling across the world with a gun. It's like, but like now you said it is a bit weird. But yeah, like some of the things I have thought about in the past, and like just this is even like while I've still been in. It's like you take over a compound, and you know it's like, oh, we're going to go and take compound 66 today, and it like we're talking as if it's just nothing. It's just a structure. That compound 66 is genuinely someone's whole life. We just take it, jump on the roof, put up sandbags, you know, kick the guy out, pay him like 10 pence for his compound, and then fucking destroy it with holes in the walls and rat runs and, you know, fucking fill it up with shit in the corner and drive fucking big vehicles all over these vegetables and all what. I know it is a bit crazy that you couldn't imagine people doing that over here. An occupational force coming in like, just right, your building's perfect for arcs. We'll kick you out, fucking destroy your whole, you know, living room, kitchen, whatnot. And come back in 5 years when we're gone. Yeah, I mean.
This is the important thing. This is why it's important that you know, people will say, well, did they give you a lot of language training and stuff? It's like the last thing that the army wants is for the people to speak the language of the people that you're occupying, because you'd be able to hear what they were fucking saying, and it would make it a lot harder.
I'll be honest though, like at the time I didn't give a fuck. Like, you know, I was more than happy to be part of it. Like, if we need your compound, we're taking it, sort of thing. But looking back at retrospectively, it's like probably was a bit harsh. Probably could have paid them a bit better. Like, I know the Americans paid well, but like I know that the Brits were fucking very tight with the cash. Like the boss used to carry some money that he'd be able to hand out, and it was always like, it ended up always being like literally pennies worth for fucking big damages and stuff like that. But at the time, like I said, like I couldn't have cared less. But now looking back, it probably was a bit harsh.
It was kind of funny, innit? Like, we always used to, you know, they go, right, we're going to do a reassurance patrol. And I was thinking, like, if I was in my house and I look out my window and all of a sudden there's 12 blokes armed to the teeth in my garden, that's not going to reassure me. I'm going to fucking scare the shit out of me. Like, what will reassure me is not seeing soldiers. Like, because it's like, if there's soldiers sitting outside my window, I'm going to think someone might start shooting at them in a second, and I'm going to be in the middle of it. And then my house is going to get fucking RPG'd, and then my neighbour's house is going to get a J down on it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it's a weird one, mate, because they're like, oh well, you know, we're coming into these areas to, you know, we're coming into this area to, like, you know, Panshai Palang, Panther's Claw, you know, the Babaji area, right? And it's like, you know, we're going to come in because we want to install this new kind of the central government on Babaji. Well, okay, so you're doing something for the locals, but let's do a cost benefits analysis here. If you have to fucking fight compound to compound and drop a JDAM or a GMLRS on every third compound, and every other compound's going to have rat runs knocked out, maybe they'd rather just not have your government come in. Maybe they'd just rather crack on as it was. Yeah. You know, it's a fucking that's a high price to pay.
Well, I think honestly, a lot of it was to do with the way that the army was, you know, restrained in the way that they would conventionally do their operations. You know, in Afghanistan, it got to the point where you weren't allowed to patrol at night, or you weren't allowed to go and do ops at night, which is the complete opposite as to how you're trained to operate in the army. Like, you're meant to do everything at night and essentially just lie up during the day, you know, because we have technologies and capabilities to own the night, as they say. But it got to the point where they were so scared of losing lives that we were kept in during the night on sangers, and going out in patrols during the day when we were an easy target. And we could have fought that war more conventionally and had more of a presence within the local population than we did, which would have ultimately led to a more successful overall mission, I would imagine, than we did, because we just went to our fucking safe haven, came out whenever we decided, and went back to our safe havens, didn't interact with fuck all, and the people were just like, what the fuck, we'll just wait these guys out, which is what happened. Which is it's obviously a massive failure in leadership, and not just the UK, but just in general NATO, fucking ISAF leadership, and, you know, general global leadership, and the whole thing. And then to solidify my statement, all you need to do is look at the withdrawal from Afghanistan. I mean, it is the biggest military shit show in world history, I would imagine. That's documented. I don't know if there's a bigger military history that's ever occurred.
There are bigger ones, something like Stalingrad and that.
Oh, yeah.
But that was actually a battle.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, whereas this was just like, no, this is just a withdrawal. Like, so you don't have the excuse of the fact that you're talking major army-on-army engagement here. This is just a fucking withdrawal. But mate, you're dead on with what you're saying. Like, because of the bad press, it's like they wanted us there, they wanted us fighting, but at the same time they didn't want to take casualties. So you end up with this weird thing where you actually probably end up taking more casualties. I used to read a lot of Vietnam books and Second World War books and stuff growing up, and one of the things I'm a big believer in is sending out groups of 3-4 guys onto the ground, not necessarily, like, not saying deep behind enemy lines, but a few hundred meters from your PB, sticking guys out there, switched on guys, to disrupt what the enemy's doing. Enemy RPG team thinks is going to come in and have a shot at your Sangha. No, sorry, mate, because we know where you're going to come and fucking have a crack from, and we're out there waiting for you, and 2 of you are dead, and we've bagged the other one and brought him into camp. And we never did anything like that, mate. Like you said, you go out, and then you come back and sit in your quote-unquote safe haven, where you get mortared, RPG, grenades over the wall in some places. Then you go out, what's waiting for you? IEDs. And we never dominated the ground, mate. And this seems to be a common, like, what did we get taught, mate, in basic training and everything, like, and all through the exercise we do? Harbour areas, living on the ground, you know, roughing it. Why do we need to be in compounds? Why do we need these PBs? Why aren't we fucking out there in the fucking green zone, living in the green zone, just constantly fucking moving, never letting the enemy settle on where we are and consolidating on where we are? It seemed to be that all these principles we got taught just went out the fucking window.
On reflection, you look back and it genuinely is that. It's like, everything's back to front. Um, like you just said there, it's like, had you put a section out on a few streets, covering a 100 square meters of an area that is, prone to enemy activity at night, then if the enemy was to come into this area, you've got guys in position to disrupt them. Then during the day, you can fucking lie the guys up, observe the area with, other assets, PGSS or whatever it might be. It's like, so it just seems so simple, but they have no idea where they were getting their tactics from, or where they were getting their operational planning from. But it was all wrong. It was just like all wrong.
I think part of it as well, mate, is it's almost like condescending towards, like, they're like, the only ops that they wanted out at night were like SF ops. And like, obviously, great, the SF guys have got a lot of fucking training, but there's good guys in every battalion. There's a reason you have a recce platoon in a battalion. So what I don't get, it's like, all right, so when we're fighting the Russians, you're going to trust us to work in teams of 3, but you're not going to trust us in teams of 3 too. So when we're fighting against an enemy, it's got main battle tanks, it's got air power, it's got proper recce platoons of its own, it's got armoured divisions, we're going to be trusted to go out of the 3 of us. But we're not trusted, the 3 of us, to go out 200 metres from the fucking PB.
Yeah, you're spot on, mate.
It's fucking mental, mate. And you know what? I think one of the reasons, mate, that a lot of us have, like, I know a lot of us kind of have resentment about these tours is because I think, like, people always talk about the rules of engagement, like, oh, we had a hand tied around our back. I don't think the rules of engagement were the issue in Afghanistan, mate. Like, you're talking yourself about 429 Alpha. The rules of engagement weren't the problem. It was the restrictions put on us by our own chains of command about what we were allowed to go and do. It should not be up to somebody in fucking Lashkar to tell my fucking platoon how we go about our business in RPB. If we think that we need to push out, like, let's say every night we're going to send out we're going to, not even section strength, maybe 2 fire teams every night. We're going to send out, in totally opposite directions, so there's no chance of blue on blue with the 2 of them. We're going to send them out every night. We're going to do a little fucking, might even just be 4 or 5 hours, and they're going to do that every night. We're going to do that every night just so the Taliban can't, because basically we let them own the night the same way as the Americans used to let the Viet Cong own the night. But then you look at who had the success against the Viet Cong. It was the special operations guys and units that would put their own, they beat them at their own fucking game, basically. They go out and, like, look, yes, was there an IED threat at night? Is it harder to do your IED drills and stuff at night? Well, yeah, it is. But I would argue that the best way to counter the IED threat is to constantly have people on the ground so that they don't get to come out and put the fucking IEDs out in the first place.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. We, in terms of, talking about letting the enemy have free rein, we got into contact one time, and we were on one side of the field, and on the other side of the field was a compound that we were being contacted from. And we actually had an A10 on station and JTAC. Is it JTAC? Yeah. A JTAC with us who spoke to the A10, got him to come and do 3 or 4 gun runs on that compound. So the A10 obviously had clear eyes on an enemy target from his cameras. And so there was definitely something like 1, 2, how many people in there. After the 3 or 4 gun runs, we literally didn't do anything. We just turned around and walked away. And we were like, me and this other guy were like, we need to fucking clear that compound. And that's called exploitation. Like, the whole part of your battle drill section or platoon battle drills is exploitation. You do that at the end of it, and we just didn't do that for, I think it might have been, command fear that you might have incurred more casualties or incurred a casualty by doing that. But what ended up happening was, because we didn't exploit it, we didn't realize that the enemy hadn't been killed by those gun runs. They then followed us up and contacted us when we were in the middle of an open field. And then we could have took more casualties, but obviously we just got lucky. Like, the amount of times that I personally or my section or platoon got lucky was just insane. And that was another one of those times where, like, it could have been 3 or 4 guys like fucking killed in that field, and that was all because we just didn't exploit enemy positions that were only 50 meters away from us, and we had plenty guys, plenty assets in position to be able to do that effectively. But it's just like little things like that you just conventionally, you wouldn't even think twice about doing it. But for whatever reason, I think command, got a really tight grip on the reins and hold platoon commanders and multiple commanders back from doing their job effectively. But it's just that's just one instance, and it's probably every day on patrol there's something like that would happen, where a commander wouldn't do what he was supposed to be doing. Maybe it was because higher command has briefed him about what's expected of him, about not taking casualties or not pushing too far or don't go into this AO or whatever it might be. It's so common, or it was so common.
Mate, one of the things used to grip my shit with all the time, because we were down in one village, next village, all the reports, right, there's 8 to 10 Taliban, there's 8 to 10 Taliban, there's 8 to 10 Taliban. Well, let's go kill them. What are we doing here? Let's go fucking kill them. Why are we here? Well, we can't do a company op. We don't need to do a company op. There's 8 to 10 of us. Fucking send the platoon down. We'll go down with the fucking platoon. We'll turn up in the night. We'll fucking assault. We'll go into the fucking, because when I'm talking villages here as well, I'm only talking 4 or 5 compounds. We got, like, what we always told, right, you need the ratio, 3 to 1 ratio. All right, sound. Let's take a platoon down. There's 8 to 10 of them. We're fucking professional British Army soldiers. Let's go down. Let's go fucking take them out. Oh, we get Mike blown up. Okay, who wants to go? Volunteers. Let's fucking go. Does my head in, mate.
Yeah.
Does my head in. Because what annoys me is, it's not like the lads wouldn't have gone. Like, there's some lads who probably did just want to fucking mince the tour away, to be honest. But I reckon 9 out of 10 lads would be like, right, 8 to 10 Taliban in the next village. We need 30 blokes to go and fucking fill them in. Who wants to go? And straight up.
You'd be fucking buzzing if someone said to me, do you want to go down there for a massive scrap? Yeah, let's fucking go.
But the other thing is, mate, if we went down there, they're probably going to fire at you a bit and then fuck off. but we're basically saying, all right, sound, all you have to do is just you turn up and sit in those compounds. We'll sit in these compounds. Occasionally we'll come out at the same time and fire, and then that's how we'll see out the 6 months. What a waste of everyone's time. What a fucking waste of everyone's time. Let's just get over. Let's have a couple of days that's going to be tasty as fuck. But I think, mate, it's false economy. It's this idea of if we keep people here, it'll be safe. No, you won't. Because we've got to get resupplied, and that fucking convoy is going to hit IEDs, and we've got to go and clear the same places again, day in, day out. We got to go and clear the same places. We're not helping anyone. All that's happening is we're getting demoralised because our entire tour is sweeping a Valent and hoping not to get blown up. Whereas, every now and again, let us off the leash. Let's go and fucking kill some fuckers. Instead of right, we're going to get killed. Or sorry, we can kill some of them when they try and come and kill us. Let us go and kill them.
Yeah.
Let us be on the fucking front foot. Fucking winds me on, mate. I've got to bring myself back down now. Right, let's get you wound up. How did you feel with the whole? The situation in the summer with withdrawal?
Well, this is the first time I spoke to anyone really about it, and I watched it unfold, and every single day, like we said earlier, it's like, how the fuck is this happening? And then when I seen the images of the all those fucking guys holding on to the side of the plane and it flying off and guys falling off the plane, I was like, this is the biggest shit show in world history. I mean, it probably isn't, like you said, Stalingrad is a very good shout at being worse, but in modern history at least.
100.
And at the time it was just like, oh yeah, no biggie. That's what it seemed to be from coming from government and from the States and whatnot. Almost every veteran that I've followed or I've heard post anything about this has said the exact same thing. And it was just so fucking frustrating, especially when there was that attack at the gate and you end up losing 13 service personnel, Marines and corpsmen or whatever it was. And it's just like, this is so fucking avoidable. So fucking avoidable. And it just comes down to weak fucking leadership. And the US has got a lot to answer for that fucking withdrawal. The UK does as well for not being strong enough to fucking stand up for itself, and it seemed to be just kind of rolled over and just took what the States or the American government was doing. I understand that they done the best with what they could, but they should have put way more pressure on the Biden administration and said, hold on, what the fuck are you doing here? Let's get a grip of this shit before it spirals out of control. and it did spiral out of control.
Yeah, and that's no knock on the people that were on the ground who obviously did a great job.
No, not at
You're
all.
just talking politically in that, right?
Of course,
politically upper.
I'm talking like the top 5 people, like the fucking Secretary of Defense, the president. Like these people are the ones who are making decisions that they don't have a fucking clue what they're talking about, and telling fucking military fucking generals and stuff how to do their job. It's just I can't get my head around it, honestly. The whole thing was just extremely frustrating.
See, I've come to a conclusion, mate. Because at first I was like, God, they're handling this badly, and then I was like, you know what? No one can handle this that badly. This is deliberate, and I genuinely believe that the deal was that we would arm the Taliban. I genuinely believe that was the deal.
Well, I heard Trump say that he started this whole withdrawal back in the day when he was still in. The general that was in position at the time told him that to take all the equipment out of Afghanistan, it would cost too much money than the equipment that would be left. So I think they ended up leaving, billions worth of kit and equipment there. And that general told Trump directly that it was going to cost more than that to get that kit back. And Trump was like, "What the fuck are you talking about? How can that make any sense? Like, I want every nut and bolt back." And then obviously when he told Biden that, Biden was probably just like, "Yeah, we'll fucking leave it then." Like, as if it's nothing, as if it's just toilet paper.
Maybe that's true. I mean, that doesn't sound like it can be true for me, but let's just say that it is. It's not just about the fact that, yeah, it might cost more. When we go back to Afghanistan, if we do go back to Afghanistan, whatever, we then have to fight that equipment, and then what's the cost of that going to be? So for me, mate, it's like, okay, so you don't want to bring it back. Pile it all together and get some fucking B2s over the fucker and just destroy it. Like, just don't leave it to be used.
Oh, man.
Like, on what planet does that happen? And I think, mate, I genuinely think that there's some kind of, like, Afghanistan has always been part of the quote-unquote the great game. And this is just the next phase of it, mate. And the reason I believe I am correct on this is, one, fucking right about everything. And two, what happened as soon as the withdrawal was over? Oh, ISIS-K, you got to watch out for ISIS-K. Oh, ISIS-K will be able to attack America in the next 6 months. And then all of a sudden they start paving the way for, and then you've got that cunt face who, the British cunt face, I can't remember, I think he's the new chief of general staff or whatever, him going on, and him being like, well, it depends what you mean by enemy. By enemy, mate, I mean people that we used to shoot in the face until a couple of months ago. That's what I mean by enemy. Not your fucking slippery weasel politician definitions. And, like, you can see that they're paving the way for Taliban are now our ally. You can see it.
Well, 100%, mate, 100%, because it's like, okay, you do a deal with the Taliban to end the fucking forever war, but you do it if you're going to do a deal with the Taliban, you do it under your terms, like was proposed. Like, this is what's fucking happening. If you deviate any way whatsoever, you're going to be fucking annihilated. And, like, that's how you do a deal with the Taliban. You don't do a deal with the Taliban where it's like, right, okay, let us get all our people out and just don't kill us. It's like, that's not a fucking deal. That's not a deal.
Well, but it is, mate. That's the deal you make when you're the loser.
Like, exactly.
Like that's the problem. Is there were times where we could probably have, like, when you've taken your troops out, you've lost your leverage. Like, why would anybody at that point then think that you're not in a position of strength? Because they know, like, because what kind of leverage you got? Nuclear weapons? They know you're not going to use nuclear weapons. They know you're not going to carpet bomb the towns, and even if you did, they wouldn't give a fuck. So once you take your troops off the ground, I blame Obama for a lot of this, mate. I mean, I blame them all, to be honest. I hate the fucking lot of them. But Obama was like, right, this is the date we're pulling out. Like, I don't know what kind of sports you're into, mate. But, you're playing something like rugby. You've got a slim lead at the end of the game. Right, there's a few minutes left. We're just going to pick and drive for the rest of the game. We don't need to try anything fancy. The game's ours as long as we don't fucking knock on. So the Taliban are like, oh, you're just staying for a couple more years, are you? Yeah, sound. Just harass you for a couple of years. no biggies. No need
Yeah,
to.
and the fact you tell your enemy what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. But the most telling thing about that whole withdrawal was like you know that the government, the U.S. government had lost when its advice was to American citizens who you would think would be the most protected in the fucking world, that they had to take their passports and go to Taliban checkpoints to be let through. You're like, this is coming from the fucking State Department. Take your passport to a Taliban checkpoint and hope they let you through. It's like, how in the fuck did that ever become guidance from a government?
Mental, mate. Let's be honest, mate, as well. If it wasn't for a group mostly veterans, like basically mostly veterans plus some fucking legendary personnel on the ground, if it wasn't for them, how many people would actually have got out? If the veterans and if the people on the ground had just gone, now we're not going to do any more than is absolutely within our job description. If they'd have said that and veterans hadn't gone to an effort of getting them out, I wonder how many people actually would have got out. They really can't take much credit for any of it, really, because yes, they did. Obviously, the airplanes and there's guys on the ground, but you know, to get the people to the fucking airport, you know, that basically came down to people that were disobeying their orders, essentially, and good for any of them, fucking legends. And then these veteran groups.
I was tracking some things with obviously Tim Kennedy was one of the guys that I seen who had been doing something, but I'm not entirely sure of how much was going on there. I don't know. You could probably inform me a bit better, or even just tell people what you know about that, because I'm very limited in terms of what I do know.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, we are going to have someone on to discuss it. We have got people in the pipeline who are more involved to kind of give the full dit on it. But basically, you had groups of veterans on the ground in the UK going out, getting like coordinating people into safe houses, picking people up from safe houses, getting them to the airport, getting them through the gates, getting them out of danger. Because a lot of these people, if they'd have stopped at a Taliban checkpoint, they're dead. Because these were guys who were like SF, Afghan SF, you know, like, and they were not fucking around. When they caught those people, they were just fucking straight up killing them and their families. And obviously all the unspeakable stuff that goes on as well. So, yeah, mate, it's just fucking absolutely mental. And like, it's a fucking disgrace was the bottom line. Did it, like, how did it make you feel, kind of like, you know, like, aside from obviously like, oh, this is a disaster, internally with you, how did you feel with it?
I probably just felt angry. It's like, I know a lot of people were saying at the time, it's like, oh, this was in vain. And it's like, none of it was in vain, but I just felt angry at the way that this whole thing would now be remembered as like, that would be the last memory, the last big memory of what people think about Afghanistan. And whenever, you know, you talk about Afghanistan, that's probably going to be at the forefront of people's minds, or even the forefront of people's conversation. And like I said to you earlier on, mate, we were kicking people out of compounds, and I wasn't really giving a fuck. But like at the time, people's lives were improved with us being there. And I mean, some people had their family members killed. Some people were arrested, you know, wrongfully. Some people were caught up in stuff that they shouldn't have been caught up in. So it's not an absolute thing, but generally, people's lives were improved with our presence there. I mean, what the Taliban do compared to what British military occupation done was vastly different, and opportunities for governance and opportunities for education for all was there, especially in areas that, you know, right in the rural areas that, you know, I and others were operating. You know, Taliban aren't going to let any of that shit fly. Whereas with us being there, you know, there was construction projects ongoing. There was opportunity for people to have an improved life that they weren't going to have otherwise. So I think that's the legacy that I would like to have people remember, that while we were there, we were the guys on the ground, and some of the command decisions were there to improve the lives of people who might not have otherwise had it improved.
Mate, I agree, and I think that's what's so frustrating about it. Because I don't know how you felt, mate, but my thing once we're there is just like, all right, let's just stay here. Right, we got a bunch of battalions in the UK. Get them over here. Let's get this fucking job done. Like, how did you feel about that? Like coming back and forth between tours. Would you have been up for just staying out there for like longer?
I mean, the 6 months I feel was like the 6 months that the British do, or 6, 7 months, whatever it is that the British do, I think is good. And I think the way we had it rolling was like, I think every 2 years you would redeploy. And obviously, it would have been good if it would have been cool if you had been there and you'd have been able to get in all these gunfights and, not get fatigued and not be homesick and um, not fucking go insane. It would have been cool if you could stay there, get involved in all that stuff, not lose your mind, and come out of the other side alive. But the chances are that the longer you stay there, the more you're going to end up blown up and fucking dead. So I think sharing the load with all the other battalions was good, because then they felt that they got their chance to do their part, and the general fatigue and all that sort of stuff that comes with ops these days, is shared as well. I mean, it's a vastly different physical output these days in soldiering than it was in the Second World War, First World War. You've got crazy conditions in the First World War, but you had a rifle and a fucking trench coat.
Yep.
That was it. Or if you're a jock, you're in your fucking kilts, which again was fucking crazy. Whereas now you're carrying, whereas now you're carrying and expected to fight with at least 40 kilos on your body, on top of your body. Especially in places like Iraq, Afghanistan, in the summer, it's insane heats and a massive physical toll. Like, you can only sustain that for a certain amount of time. You could have done it if you could have stayed there long term if there wasn't the need for all the kit and equipment that we're carrying these days, and you probably wouldn't have got fatigued as quickly. But by the time I was coming home, generally, I was in pretty good shape. We had a lot of downtime and we were able to keep fit, and so I don't know if fatigue generally was an issue, but.
So my kind of theory on it, mate, is the more people you got there, the less you have to be using people. I think we were kind of proven out there that once you did overmatch in an area, quite often you wouldn't get that resistance from the Taliban. Like, they'd usually kind of like have a go when they thought that they could have a go. And I think if you kind of like carpet an area with troops, there is actually less threat because you can watch the ground. So you're not going to get IEDs everywhere between one checkpoint and the next, because you can actually cover it. And then I think the other thing that you have to go with that, which I think the Americans did in kind of Iraq, is you've got like in Iraq, down in Kuwait, they had the bases there where, so they're doing a year-long tour, but every now and again you go down to Kuwait and you've got a few days basically in-country R&R. Because my kind of thinking on it, mate, was basically just, you get back, you get back, you have some leave, and then you're straight in pre-deployment for the next one when you're away and a lot of stuff anyway. And I wonder if, like, because, wars were always done with just sending people out there, we're getting the job done until Northern Ireland, really. And then the 6-month thing started to happen. And we adopted that for Iraq and Afghanistan, which were wars, really. And I just like, I just don't think it worked, mate. I don't think it worked. I think one of the big problems with it as well was you don't get continuation on the ground, because the new unit comes in, you're learning the whole fucking new problems again. So you're learning everything again. But also the new commander that comes in, he wants to put his stamp on it. So he's going to say like, oh, well, the last one did this, so I'm going to do that. So like a lot of the stuff, there was never any continuation in. So I'm sure there's probably a happy medium in there somewhere. Because I think you are right as well that, like, obviously, there is only so much, people can do, physically. But sometimes I think, the more assets you get, the less people then have to be strained. Because, I mean, one thing that every British Army unit had, whether it was out there, you never had enough blokes to do the job. Like the company, like there was never enough people to go around. What's some of your best memories from out
there? One of my best memories is Panchai Palang. Pretty much that whole 2 weeks plus, like every single day was fucking insane. Every single day, but I guess we already talked about that. So another one was on that same deployment. We done a massive. It was two companies. Alpha Bravo company had done an airlift into an area of Kandahar, which I hadn't operated in before, and I don't think the battalion had. But Alpha Company were on the first chalk, and they landed. And as soon as they landed, they had a flood of Taliban coming out of one of the compounds. I think it was around about 30, and there was only like one field over. So like, I don't know, what would it be, about 60, 70 metres wide, that field. So they started flooding the whole area, and I guess they started being engaged. And when the helicopters flew back to pick us up and then take us out, there was a little bit of word passed around that Alpha Company were in contact, and it wasn't anything official, or there was no orders given. It was on the fucking back of the helicopter, for fuck's sake. So it was like you just had to guess what was going on. And so it was kind of like that. All right, Alpha Company were in contact. So as we flew to our HLS, you could tell something was up, because we went to land, then we fucking extracted back into the air. We went to land again, and you could tell it was somewhere different, like a secondary HLS. Then we ended up, lifting back off that one before we made touchdown, and then we ended up flying around in circles for a couple of minutes, and then landing again. We eventually landed, and so we got off, and where we had meant to land was in a field that was surrounded by trees that were in full bloom, and we landed in what looked like a dried out lorry bed. So as soon as like all the dust settled and stuff like that, we got our shit together and started to orientate ourselves. And it was very difficult because we didn't have a clue where we were. So obviously the boss and everyone on the section commanders get their heads together. We push out and do mutual support, protection or whatever. And as that dust does settle, you start to see all the A-10 Apache helicopters in the distance where Alpha Company were. And as the boss comes up and briefs the point man, right, okay, you're going in that direction. It was direction of where all those Apache helicopters were. He's like, just beeline. It doesn't matter what route you take. He's like, because we're in a legacy minefield, so just keep it straight. We were like, what the fuck? So like, I'm the point man's cover man. And as we're walking out there, I'm thinking, right, fucking one of us is going to hit a mine anytime now. Anyway, we get out of that fucking minefield, cross over Highway 1 and into our AO that we were meant to be working in. And then we end up trying to make our way towards Alpha Company. But the whole time, mate, it was like a scene from one of those old school war movies, mate, where it's just like hellfire, 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 and then 30 mil.
Sick.
There was about 5 or 6 Apaches just like fucking going at it. And I remember walking along and turned around and said to one of the boys, I was like, mate, this is fucking insane. This is like a scene from a movie. We shouldn't be in this. And he's like, yeah, mate, it's fucking nuts. Like everyone was just in awe about what we were walking into. And then we ended up linking up with like Alpha Company. And by that time, the Apaches had pretty much done all the work for us. But just that experience, like, it's a beautiful, clear night sky in Afghanistan. No light pollution. You could see the stars and everything, like really bright behind the Apaches. But then the Apaches just fucking going in absolute mental. And I was walking towards it. It was like so peaceful where we were, but then where they were, it was like hell. So we were like literally just walking towards hell. That's one of the things that really, really sticks with me, apart from Panchai Palang. And then a few other things like seeing crazy javelin shots and stuff like that, like just really funny things, like guys falling off of bridges into the wadis and stuff like that.
Give me a war boner, mate. I have a solid war boner. Mate, before we finish up, tell us more about a podcast. I'd be interested to know how come you got started on that.
I mean, it was obviously, I started it during lockdown, and I had been struggling. I mean, not struggling for work, but I had a bit of struggle with work. and I felt like the replies and the responses I wasn't getting, or the replies I was getting and the responses I wasn't getting from job applications was like people think that maybe because I'm an infantry, they think that I'm fucking brain dead or whatever, and that I don't have a sound mind. So anyway, I do listen to a lot of podcasts, or certainly did at the time during lockdown. Had nothing else to do, so I was like, you know what, like I've got nothing else to do. I may as well try and start this. Start speaking to people and giving them a chance to express themselves, to show to other people that guys who have served in the infantry have generally got a very, very sound mind, very articulate, or maybe not articulate, that's the wrong word, but very adaptable and can actually, hold a conversation and have the ability and confidence to express their views regardless of what they may be. So that was really why I started it. But then when I did start it, it became like a bit more of a hobby for me that was enjoyable. During lockdown, there was a gym and there was not much else to do. Or not the gym, home fucking workouts and not much else to do. So apart from the DIY, mate, that was all that was really keeping me going. I was living separated from my wife as well. So it was kind of a good thing to distract me from that. And as I got to talk to more people, mate, I just started to really, really, really enjoy it. And I would get, talking to guys from all over the spectrum, from private soldiers here in the UK to guys who have served 20 plus years in Delta and, everything in between. And some of the stories and some of their experiences that they've been able and willing to share with me has literally been amazing to hear. And what I get from them is just a sense of we're really just the same. Some guys might be cooler than others, but that's cool. We're all, at the end of the day, once you're out of the service, you're just another grunt, or you're just another sprog that's served a bit of time. You know what I mean? There's no ego that should stick around. That if you're a sergeant major, like, who gives a fuck? Cool. Whereas if you're a private, like, really doesn't matter if you're just a private. It's like everyone's got something to share and everyone's got something to offer an audience that wants to listen.
Well said, bro. Mate, I've really enjoyed today. I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty envious about some of your stories. But well, let's do another one, hopefully in person, down in London sometime, so we can have a bit of a sesh afterwards. And any final parting words you got for the guests, mate? Let them know where they can find you, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, you can jump onto the Lead Wasps Instagram. It's just Lead Wasps, or you can go on YouTube and get the back catalogue of episodes. I think there's over 40 there that you can dig into if you've not listened to any before, and hopefully I'll be able to get it started up again so that it can, produce more. But yeah, just again, thank you very much for having me on. It's great to be able to chat and converse with someone with similar mind and put the worlds to right, obviously, because it's a fucked up place. People should probably be putting me and you in positions of power, and we'll cure the world of all its diseases and all its issues. But yeah, like I said, mate, thank you very much for having me on and taking the time out of your day to chat with me.
Mate, you're welcome anytime. Thanks for your time, and I'll catch you soon, bro. Cheers. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Make sure you check out Davie. He's linked up down in the show notes to Lead Wasps and everything down there. Thank you again to our sponsors. Thank you again to the Royal British Legion for making today's possible. If you guys want to check out how they look after veterans and their families, you can do so if you just click the link in the show notes, or if you check out at Royal British Legion on the old social media. You'll find them there. And yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in every week. And remember, if you do enjoy today's episode, please tell a mate about it. Please bring a mate. We are growing, and I appreciate that. I really appreciate you guys that are putting a post out there. It doesn't cost anything except a few seconds of your time to write a quick social media post, text your friend. You can copy the link. Like you can copy the Spotify link, copy the Apple Podcast link. Just send it to a few of your mates. Bombard them with them until you get blocked and deleted. That's all we ask. All right, guys, thanks very much for tuning in today. I'll catch you next time, and I love you. Bye.
Yeah. Listen. Shout out Teaser. You told me not to worry, and you wouldn't break my heart. You told me you were sorry, yeah, my whole world fell apart. You said it's not my fault, and yeah, I've never done you wrong. I'm grinding to a halt, now I can see you're moving on. I promised I'd get better, and I told you things would change. You keep me to the gutter, yeah, I'll never be the same. I've gotta let you go, now live your life and spread your wings. And yeah, you put on quite a show, and pulled the puppet strings. And are you sure that you don't want me? Remember all the pain, or maybe you should thank me. It's your loss and my gain. I'm leaving now forever, I won't hang my head in shame. But yeah, you've taken me for granted, and you should feel ashamed. You sold a dream to all of us, a dream that we'd all die for, a reason for us all to live and something we could fight for. I might just help a man up to his feet or hold a newborn, but no matter what I do, my hands remembering my rifle, yeah.
Life's hard, I know that, still wouldn't change shit. I wouldn't go back, yeah, I wouldn't go back. Feelings I hold back, memories fade, yeah, they go fast, yeah, they go fast. Good times to come and go, survive the highs and lows. Just take it step by step, I guess, yeah, I suppose. Good times to come and go, survive the highs and lows. Just take it step by step, I guess, yeah, I suppose.
It's time to speak the truth now and let me get this amplified. Not holding back, no one personifying terrified. I thought I had the knowledge, what it takes to save a life, until I lost 3 friends in 1 week to suicide. Now let me ask you this, do you think you could sleep at night? Depression is consuming you, your happiness seems out of sight. I'm putting up a fight, I'm screaming out these battle cries. I'm just a lonely soul, a man amongst the men that died. I lost my faith in everything and sat down with the devil. Spoke with him for hours, yeah, he made it sound so simple. I don't know how it got this bad, I guess it's accidental. But before I knew it, I had a gun up to my temple. I was ready to end it and call upon the curtain. No amount of drugs or alcohol could take away the hurting. I couldn't see another way out and it wasn't working. As I cocked the gun to my head, the devil started smirking. I looked at him confused about his motive and direction. Yeah, it hit me, I've been looking at myself, it's my reflection. I won't forget it, that feeling of acceptance. I can beat the guy that's looking back with knowledge as my weapon. Cause it's inside of you and it's inside of me. The real killer in depression is to suffer silently. The journey's rough, the road is long, you've just got to accept. You haven't got to see the whole staircase, just the first step. And have you ever felt to pack your bags and run away? The black sheep of your family, an outcast or a lonely stray. But let me tell you now, it's normal if you feel that way. You wanna leave the shit behind and go and find a happy place. What if I told you the real thrill is in the chase? No matter how fast you can run, you'll never find a hiding place. I've lived the story that I'm telling, I know talk is cheap. I'm living 8 stories up, but I'm 100 deep. I said in Superman I'd live and laugh and dance for days, until the day my casket lays. It's hard up in these darker days. We focus on the latest craze and cloud our minds with purple haze, just trying to understand the reason why our birth takes place. I'm near the end now, and I guess it's time for closure. I've lowered the gun from my head, returned it to the holster. I'm strong enough to carry on with weight upon my shoulders. My letter to the world, confessions of a soldier, yeah.
Life's hard, I know that, still wouldn't change shit. I wouldn't go back, yeah, I wouldn't go back. Feelings I hold back, memories fade, yeah, they go fast, yeah, they go fast. Good times to come and go, survive the highs and lows. Just take it step by step, I guess, yeah, I suppose. Good times to come and go, survive the highs and lows. Just take it step by step, I guess, yeah, I suppose.
Yeah. Rest in peace to every single man that I've lost. Swift and bold forever, BB4E, DFT. For our tomorrow, they gave that today. See you at that final reorg. When one war ends, another one begins. Hey Ure, lock that off, bro.